connecting with customers. And this is going to be just a simple approach to consumer research in a time of crisis that we're all living through together. I'm really excited to dive into this topic. And first, a little quick introduction. I'm Becca, and I'm the founder and CEO of Uppercase Industries, which is a consumer insights and marketing strategy company. And what I do with my company is guide clients through a simple insights gathering process to really help them cultivate an intimate knowledge of their customers in a short amount of time, and then use what we learn to really craft marketing strategies that are very effective and work quickly. I think me and my team are awesome at what we do because we're really just genuinely driven by curiosity for other human beings and figuring out what makes them tick. So let's see. I have noticed that my slides sometimes forget that I'm here, so apologies if we have any issues clicking through. But I'm also a Vermonter. I'm hosting this live from Burlington, Vermont today. And I'm an obsessive cook and a gardener. We're thinking about getting chickens along with a lot of other people in this country, apparently. And I'm a mom to two, in my opinion, highly charming kids. So something that I'm also passionate about, just beyond the kind of nuts and bolts of what I do, is really helping other entrepreneurs grow their business in a way that both lets them improve the world with what they're doing or making, but also simultaneously fueling their personal dreams. So I really believe in an approach that doesn't chain you to your desk and require a lot of extra work. I'm all about finding the efficiencies, building systems that are scalable, and letting everybody take Fridays off and go on month-long vacations. That's like my vision for the world. Like I said, I'm coming to you live from Vermont, where I am in a house with 4 other family members, safely quarantined, although we are starting to open things up here, which is a little exciting and scary at the same time. So if you hear background noise, please forgive me, and I'm sure you can relate to that. So let's see. Before we really dig in, I'd love for you to take a second to really tune in and turn your phone off or turn it over, maybe stash it in the next room, and close those browser tabs. I know we're all multitasking all the time, but it really helps to focus and grab a notebook and a pen that works. So a little bit of a logistical thing with Zoom, please make sure you have your chat box open and add questions as we go along. I'll be asking lots of questions as we go. And also there will be, although I encourage you to take notes, there will be a recording, so don't feel like you have to be sort of screenshotting or writing down every little word here. If you didn't already, which I think most of you do, let's see. Oh, Perry, great. Oh, yes, I remember seeing this on Instagram. Nicely noted. I love this idea. I'm excited to hear more from you. So yes, looks like everybody has introduced themselves. I expect we had quite a few people sign up today, so I'm expecting maybe some will come in later, which is totally fine. And we'll nudge them for introductions once they arrive. So thanks for sharing, everyone. It's fun to see everybody from all over the country here. And we have a wealth advisor, we have an entrepreneur. Oh, Martha says she's not seeing anyone else's intros. So that is in the chat box. And then there's a little blue drop-down menu that you will select all panelists and attendees. And then you should be able to see the all the previous people's chats. And so it looks like, Martha, you're writing to all panelists, which is just me. So if you say all panelists and attendees, then you will be able to see the whole chat. And I'll kind of recap what everyone is saying for you guys. Okay. Yes, I think everybody has been sending to all panelists, I guess. So there you go. You guys got it now. So let's see, on the line so far, we have Carrie, who is transitioning from being a professor to an entrepreneur, which is a really exciting life transition. We have Martha, who is a realtor in Vermont. We have Perry from Nicely Noted, which is a stationery company. And I think she's in California too, maybe, I didn't see that. And then we have Lauren, who is starting a babysitting app also in California. And I think that's it for now. We'll welcome new folks as they come. All right, so thinking a little bit about where we are in the world. This presentation is all about knowing your audience, and with you guys as my audience, I want to be really aware of what you're going through right now and what we all are as a world. So, I'm guessing you showed up today because, you have the time and the brain space to take something new on and learn something new and think kind of big picture, which is awesome. So way to go for taking that action. And I also want to acknowledge that this has been a really difficult time for everybody. It's stressful. There are so many pressures on us, and there are a lot of things that we just don't know right now, which is really hard. So if you feel those feelings creeping in and kind of a sense of overwhelm, I totally honor that. And, it's important to sort of let those feelings come and acknowledge them. With that said, my goal for the next 60 minutes is to really get us into a positive space where we do have room to brainstorm and think big picture and be really open to possibility. So that's where I'm going to be coming, and that's where my head is at for you guys for the next hour. So I welcome you to join me in that. And, obviously this is a global crisis that's going on right now, but there are some exciting opportunities within that. And we'll dive into that in the brainstorming process that I'm going to take you through in a little bit. But what I like to say is that the bullshit barriers are down right now. It's a great time to experiment. You really have permission to pivot and change up your messaging. And, you're not going to be the usual sort of framework of, be consistent and do one thing and just be really clear about it, because otherwise people will get confused. That's kind of all out the window for now. Your customers are going to be expecting you to be doing different things. Like for Martha, I know, realtors right now are having to figure out different ways of getting people into homes, that are considering buying them, and they're going to expect that it looks different. So I think that's an interesting place for us all to explore our creativity. So just a note on that. Okay, and then thinking through our agenda for today, we're going to cover kind of the basics of what is customer research, why it really matters, how it can help your business right now, a method that me and my team have for helping you get there, and then also we'll end with a Q&A. And I'm hoping that you'll leave with really a deeper understanding of how getting to know your customer can help your business, the knowledge to turn what you learn into the actionable steps. So that's like, bridging that gap from, okay, I know this thing about my customer, to now I'm going to go do something and hopefully make more money because I'm doing it. And then some specific COVID-19 specific tips to really help your business survive and thrive in this time. So don't forget that there's a live Q&A at the end to answer your specific questions. So please take note of any questions that you have along the way, and then we'll come back to them. So first up, it's important to define the space that we're playing in today. So what does customer research even mean? I'd love to hear from each of you, what do you think when you hear customer research, and have you thought about it in the context of your business? I think this can sort of be a bit of a squishy term for some folks. So I'm curious about how you think about it in your work, or if you've ever thought about it before. So to me, I think about customer research as an invitation to join us at the table. You really have to let people know that you want to hear from them, and then take the steps to get to know them, make them feel welcome, and really understand the role you play in their life. A lot of times I'll think about it as sort of like, a journey that goes from, step one is learning about the customer, step two is understanding how they relate to my industry, and then step three is thinking about how they relate to my company and what problems I can solve for them with my business. So in the time of this pandemic, I think customer research really looks like just connecting with and supporting your customer base. Even if you've been forced to close down or alter your business, people really do want to hear from you. I know we've all gotten those emails from like every major corporation we've ever given our email to that says, here's what we're doing. But and that can seem annoying sometimes, but for smaller, more entrepreneurial companies, people really want to hear from you and see how you're doing and know that you're okay and know that the businesses that they rely on are going to be there when they get back, or, know how they can support you. So that's important. Customer research also right now can really help us adapt to a new reality and innovate and plot a path out of this crisis, thinking about maybe 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now. So Carrie says she thinks of customer research as labor-intensive undertaking that is still necessary. That's a great perspective. I hear that a lot. I hear people say, I'd love to do this, but there's a lot of buts. I know this is a good thing to do, but it seems so hard, but it seems so expensive, or it seems, I'm not sure where to start. So I think, Carrie, one of my goals for you is that maybe by the end of this hour, you'll feel like maybe it could be done in a little bit less labor-intensive way, and have some resources to help you with that. And then Perry says, I think of it as surveys or customer conversations at a small business and focus groups at larger companies. Yep, that sounds pretty accurate. I think I see it existing in that way a lot too. Okay. I'm moving right along. Some of my slides like to get sticky. Oops. Okay. Sorry. So I'm glad you brought that up, Perry, because another perception of research that I hear is that a lot of it is this big Madison Avenue approach. You're thinking Don Draper and people in focus groups or massive studies, which definitely exists. And one of my personal goals with my business is to really bring elements of customer research that are exciting and really actionable more to a Main Street kind of approach. So I like to go from a process of, sometimes when large corporations do research, there are these months-long quests that in the end are often asking the wrong questions. They can have 5 to 6 figure price tags. You see a lot of really boring surveys that miss the human element and tons of jargon, and also a real tendency to discount the value of real people. You'd be surprised how many large studies tend to just be all about the data and not about the real people. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But my vision for research is really asking, what information do I need to bring my business strategy to life and reach the next level? I think it should look like real life conversations, phone calls, or Zoom chats, with a little bit of structure that makes sure you really get what you need. And your surveys can be 5 to 10 questions. This doesn't need to be a long endeavor, and you could go from writing it to sending it in about an hour. I also really love to use social media. So I'm not sure how much you guys use this already, but Instagram Story has great questions that kind of allow you to gather intelligence and build a community simultaneously, which is a really fun thing to do. So I like to talk about case studies a lot as a way to really just tell the story of how I've seen research be used. And this is a story about a meal planning app that I was a former client, and they knew they were ready for the next phase, but they really weren't sure which path to take. So a lot of times when I talk about research, it's all about looking out. But before you do that, it's really important to understand how the people who you're already serving are purchasing from you already. And so this was really interesting because the first step in this process was to just look through what they were selling and what SKUs they were selling, which exact products. And although this company was a really data savvy company, it turned out they were actually quite out of touch with what they were selling, which led to a big aha moment of who they were selling to. So we just analyzed the types of meal plans people were purchasing from them, and it turned out the wide majority were paleo eaters, which was a surprise to them just because they had never, they're seeing the sales come in every day, but they had never looked at it in sort of like that year-long horizon. And the people they heard from, in their customer service and on social media, who these people I like to call the squeaky wheel, which is kind of always a watch out in research because they're the loudest, but they're usually not the ones who are spending the most money with you. The squeaky wheel people all had food allergies, so they just needed a lot of help figuring out how to work the meal planning because they had these specific need. So this client went from thinking they were serving people with food allergies to actually serving paleo eaters, which is very different customer base. So that was a really critical finding. And you can kind of extrapolate out how their marketing and business plans might change based on learning that. So they're really able to, go through a process where they identified their main sales. They came up with a few hypotheses for growing. Then they really got to know those paleo eaters in that core consumer set. And as a result, they were able to really prioritize that group, create a lot of content for them that focused on the core, and identify new product features that might work for that core. They were able to do that by using this and the follow-ups that resulted. They were able to double their business within the next year after figuring this out. So obviously some really exciting results and possibilities. Okay, so thinking about, going in a little deeper on why we need research, a lot of times I'll hear, I know my brand values really well, and isn't that enough? So first of all, if you've done brand values exercises, that's awesome and way to go, and that is really important to be clear on. But I see the growth opportunity really sitting in the middle of this lovely Venn diagram. And who doesn't love a Venn diagram? I certainly do. So your brand values is really what sits up here, your authentic truth, the vision that you're bringing to the world. I like to think of this, again, as with an example of maybe, let's say we're opening up a pizza restaurant and we're serving, the best, most legit Italian style pizza with, all buffalo mozzarella and only San Marzano tomatoes and really specific, style of pizza. So that would be this pizza restaurant owners' authentic truth. Like that's their vision. That's what they think is the best. They believe in it wholeheartedly. Then you have to think about the business opportunity. This is kind of the financial background and competitive set of where you're opening your business. So if this pizza restaurant is opening in a small town with 100 people living there, that is maybe not the best business opportunity. Or if they were to present this Italian concept in a town that had 10 other Italian concepts, then you get into trouble. So you want to think through like where is the field that I'm playing in here. I like to think of them as maybe opening up in Chicago where everybody loves deep dish and they're coming in offering something different. And then what we layer on top as the third piece is that human need or challenge. And this orange circle is really where we're playing today. So that's thinking about, okay, I'm in Chicago. I'm up against a little bit of a struggle because maybe people don't know what my type of pizza is already, but I can think about, okay, maybe they're ready for something different. Maybe they're tired of deep dish and I can be this fresh perspective. Or maybe they like a less cheesy pizza and I can be sort of a bright, fresh alternative. So that's how those pieces all fit together. And you can see that without thinking about what your customers want, this person who's really excited about their Italian pizza could really have the potential to kind of like geek out on Italian pizza and talk about what it is. But if they don't understand what their customer wants, they're kind of going to talk over their head. So that's why this is such a specific, important step. And I like to say, we're often really just too close to our mission as business owners, and that stops us from effectively translating it to the everyday lives of our customers. So, you know, this is kind of, can be frustrating because you're like, wait, I'm so passionate about what I do. Why doesn't everybody else want to join on and see why it's so important? And if that's how you're feeling in your business, like, why aren't people getting this amazingness that I'm creating? That usually means that you've got to go a little bit simpler. And the data that we find in research is really a key step there. So, and then another key point is that it's not about just like listing back to people what they need. You really want to get to the root of the why underneath it. So another question people often ask is, you know, big data, you know, is everywhere. We're all being tracked essentially by the computers all around us, which is, you know, that is its own thing. But you know, people think, well, I have all this information on people, my email list, I can see on my Google Analytics who's coming, I can see on my social media. Isn't that enough? So that's a great start. And if you're a person who's checking those stats, that's going to set you apart already. But I like to think of big data as the rear view mirror. Big data is telling you what's happened in the past, and talking to real human beings is going to tell you what happens in the future. Oops. So, you know, these real people who are waking up each morning and going about their business have important things to share with you. And they also have great ideas. So often this process, you know, of course, you all have great ideas too in your business, and so do your teams. And, you know, usually that's not a problem with entrepreneurs to generate great ideas. But it's amazing how talking to your customers can really get you out of, again, that kind of blinders frame of mind and get you thinking in another way. So I'm curious to hear, have you guys ever reached out to your customers for ideas or implemented an idea that you got from a customer, and how did it go? Let's see. I also have a question here from Carrie in the Q&A section, and she is asking, she says, I have potential customer needs from past face-to-face conversations and class materials from the past 6 years. Do I still need to conduct research, or can I use what I already have? That's a great question. So I think that is using what she has is a great start. And I would definitely do a first scan of that. And I think that this is maybe a great place to, you know, get started. And as you have since you have a very new business, that could be the ideal place to find that data and draft up a customer sketch. And then I think that's a fine place to start. Then I recommend, you know, once you get a little bit, you start putting things out into the world, growing a list and getting some sales, then you take the moment to do that again. And there's also, you know, you can also kind of come up with a group of maybe 10 sort of core advisors, or just identify people who you think might be in your target group and just have some simple conversations with them to kind of round out what you have from those previous materials. That's great. Let's see, I see that Alyssa has joined us. Hi, Alyssa, I hope you're well. We're asking everybody to introduce themselves in the chat box, and you can toggle who you're sending it to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see. And we'd love to hear where you're logging in from and what your business is. So let's see. I want to take a look here from Jeff and Lauren. Jeff says he's been thinking about doing a survey, but have yet to do so. Okay, great. We can get you thinking about that. And Lauren says she finds Instagram polls and question boxes to be really helpful. I agree. I think that's a great start. Awesome. And Perry has done some research and has implemented it. That's great. Okay. So this is a great example of what happens when you geek out too hard on your product and you miss the mark. So this is, I said geek out. I meant sort of go deep on your assumptions of who you're serving, and then miss the mark in that way. So this case study really, this is an example of somebody like Carrie was just asking about. They started out with a group of people that was a particular subset. It was a good food company targeting millennial moms, and their growth had stalled. And they really wanted to be reaching out to kind of this generation of millennials who kind of had grown up on reading like The Omnivore's Dilemma and understanding the good food system and knowing how important it was, but they just weren't reaching them. And they really went on for a few years, assuming that they were serving families with young kids who really value health over all else and therefore would want what they sell. We stepped back and did some very basic research on just the demographics of who they were serving. So things like age, education level, male, female, gender, location, professional status. And we learned that the core customer was not at all young moms and dads, it was empty nesters. So it turns out that these empty nesters have had more time to cook and liked to use an evening at home. Cooking was their entertainment for their evening at home, and they had the income to spend on food that does cost more money. So you can, again, similar to the meal planning app example, you can see how these shifts really are going to take your business down a different path. You're driving down this one path towards millennial moms and not making much headway. Then you start kind of going with the momentum of who you already have and really understanding that need. And this really opened up a lot of new opportunity for this company. So that was an exciting study. Let's see. I'm also wanting to read these chats because they're really good. So Martha says she's used client feedback to change how she works. She had a client who disappeared for 2 months, and then it turned out they were pressured. Okay, that's great. And now she builds that into her kind of client onboarding system. That's awesome. So this can be a really amazing process if you have a sense already of your customer funnel, like you're meeting new people and getting your name out there at the top, you're engaging with them in the middle, and then you're converting them at the bottom. A lot of times you can avoid issues kind of between those last 2 steps of engaging and conversion if you really understand them from the beginning. So I love that idea, Martha. That's a great point. And yeah, Jeff, actually, I feel like that could be really applicable to financial management, and kind of getting those motivations and feelings and understanding what type of person you're dealing with up front can also just save you so much time as you go through your funnel with them. Okay, so thinking about, the outcomes and results of this process. I like to think of research as something that takes you from guessing, and albeit educated guessing, because again, you guys are all like, I am not going to know more about, for example, Perry with the stationery industry than you do if we're starting a research project together. You're not just out there guessing. You're obviously an expert. You have a lot of knowledge about the industry and what you're making. But in terms of plotting a marketing strategy that really works, knowing about your consumers takes you from that feeling of guessing to really knowing and feeling very confident in what you're doing. What I usually see happen is at the end of a process, what you'll find is when you really know your customers, you have an increased efficiency for you and your team. You waste less time spinning your wheels. It becomes easier and kind of more, you're just sort of in this flow kind of status when you're doing your next launch or your campaigns. Your conversion rates go up. That's a huge ROI increaser that I see clients go through. Whether you're judging conversion rates by people buying from your website or converting people onto your email list or whatever your campaign metrics are, those go way up because you're literally speaking their language to them. You feel more confident and focused, and you make more money. And then once you really have this kind of all builds on itself when you have this customer that you really know, you're able to really serve them. And then, you know, the love just keeps going and they become your biggest advocates and then help you spread that word of mouth, which is a critical piece of marketing. So I want to take you through a fun exercise for how you guys can think about this right now. So we're going to go through 3 steps. Step 1 is going to be forming a hypothesis. All right. Oh, and Alyssa, introduce yourself. Thank you. Alyssa runs a marketing consulting business. Hey, sister, me too. Focused on helping young companies with positioning. Awesome. That's great. Fellow researcher, I'm excited to hear from you. Great. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to start with a little bit of a hypothesis formation. So what I like to do, and something I've been doing a lot with clients right now, to figure out what to do with the pandemic. And it's interesting because clearly the situation is shifting week to week. And I think this is a great exercise to do. Maybe, you know, sit down every 2 weeks with a notebook and spend 25 minutes thinking about this. And you'll be surprised how many ideas can flow from asking these 3 simple questions. So in order to figure out our hypothesis of the situation, we want to ask for people right now, what's changed in their lives? So many things. What needs or challenges have newly come up that my customers are dealing with, and how can I help them, and how am I uniquely qualified to do it? So I like to give this example of Billie Jean Vintage, which is an awesome vintage shop here in Burlington, Vermont. Check them out. This is an exercise that the owner, Megan, and I went through. So you may think off the top of your head, like, okay, a vintage shop, everybody's home working in their jammies and like not getting dressed up anymore. How could vintage clothing possibly be relevant? You can't try it on. You know, it's usually, I think of vintage items as a little bit more upscale or maybe a fun item that you wear out. So you might think like, okay, too bad for Megan, no more business. But what we were able to do with this project is really prove that thinking wrong. So for example, the world is working at home right now, clearly. The new needs are that people don't need professional clothing. They need jammies all day clothing, or maybe something like a nice scarf to wear on a Zoom call. And we figured out that Megan was really uniquely qualified to help them with demonstrating how comfortable vintage clothes are. So these clothes are already worn in. She's really qualified because she has encyclopedic knowledge on the topic of vintage clothing, tons of vintage sweats in her inventory, and a never-ending passion to help people find clothes they love. So she was able to take this thinking and then go out into the world, and validate and refine it. So this is where you're going to talk to your people. So she did some more brainstorming with some other friends that she had in the industry. She emailed her people and she started getting out there with some Instagram story questions. So we asked people, you know, what are your favorite clothes to wear these days? What do you want more of? What's your biggest challenge in getting dressed? What's your biggest challenge question is something I always really like to ask. And what we learned from people is they just really are all about comfort. And clothes are really, you know, she also affirmed something that she thought already, but was great to hear from people in their own words, is that clothes are really about more than what's on their bodies. They're about how they make us feel. And since we could all use a little bit of a lift up right now, she really worked on that as a message point to display what she has. So step 3 was really translating that into action. So what she did was created content that was hyper specific to the moment and used those words that we learned. She was able to provide a solution both to their emotional and the practical needs and really incorporated their ideas. You know, at first people were buying sweats. She asked what they wanted. The weather was warming up. They were like, I just need some t-shirts. So she added, you know, she spent a whole day selling t-shirts and did really well with that. So this process really worked. So you can see this awesome set of vintage loungewear. I mean, like, raise your hand if you would be loving to spend a day on your couch in these little pink frocks. I would. What happened is, this is the updated caption for that post on her Instagram, pale pink sold. So, she's really doing this, and she's kept at this process, and now she's about to reopen, and this has been a tactic that has really helped her navigate this time, which I was so happy to see. So in addition to her sales going up, the content creation is also just so much easier. It's so much more focused. She's less stressed because she's not sitting down to like this totally blank slate every time she has to come up with an idea of something to talk about, and she knows she's providing something valuable. And she's also really empathizing with people. So I think that's a really great example of this process and how well it can work. All right, great. Now, does anyone have any questions about that process? Awesome. Well, we'll get more questions as we go on. So I want to talk a little bit about how my team and I can support you with doing this type of research work. I think a few people said, this is something that can feel overwhelming and difficult, but also necessary. So what I like to do is really help people navigate how to get started and have a great step-by-step process for doing it. So, there's a lot of reasons you guys might have shown up today with everything else that's going on in the world and taken the hour to learn about your customers. Maybe you're tired of relying on that gut instinct and educated guesses, and you're ready to really serve those customers that are messages based on fact. Maybe you have had unexpected success and you're ready to take a step back and add some structure to what you're doing. And maybe you're worried about what the impacts of COVID-19 are and want to take some action like Megan did to make sure that you make it out of this thing alive. Because it's a scary time right now. Yeah, thanks, Martha, all of the above. Yeah, we're all feeling this so hard right now. And maybe you kind of have a sneaky feeling that there's potential for more, but want some support to really get there. And maybe you are like, I think it was Perry who said she's done some implementation of customer ideas. They have gold nuggets to share, but you need that step-by-step system for reaching out and getting there. So that is what is my job to help with. And I'm really excited about this program that I'm going to tell you about a little bit. So tell me in the chat box, there's really only one answer to this question. It's a little rhetorical. Would you like hands-on access to the proven step-by-step process that I've developed over the years to uncover from your customers, all well guided by an awesome team of humans to help you get there? So Martha says, of course, thank you. So I'm so excited to tell you about the program I've been working on with a few different clients, and it's brand new to my business. It really allows this process to be more accessible to entrepreneurs and small businesses, and get it out of that kind of Madison Avenue realm and get it into your hands and working for your business. So the program that I'm talking about today is called Unlocking Your Audience. It's a six-week customer research program to really level up your business. And it's adapted to the specific challenges of COVID-19. So this is designed to be a 6-week process that will really level up things for you. And what I'm loving and noticing in this process is that within each of the 5 steps, which I'll share with you in a second, I'm watching my clients take action in between each step. So I think that's really exciting. Oops, some messages here. So, oops. Sorry guys, some little technical difficulties. So people are taking action in between each of the steps and really getting things done in between. Because I know sometimes people hear 6 weeks, they're like, am I going to get anything done before 6 weeks? That seems like a long time. So what Megan says about this process, as you just saw with Billie Jean Vintage, is that it makes finding the growth opportunities really feel fun, exciting, and easy, and that she was able to really implement them quickly and see fast results. This is Emily from Real Plans, and she's the one who we helped double her business in 2 years after learning about her customers. And she had a lot of really nice things to say. So thinking about this 5-step approach with the program and the process that I always encourage people to go through is really kind of, and this is the exact system I've used for really over a decade to bring clients that clarity and help them find efficiency and financial growth. So we really blend that data analysis with the simple act of talking to real human beings. And I know everybody's like, this is the era of nobody picking up their phone and, ignoring text messages. And I will make you pick up the phone and call people. And it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but it's going to work in the end. So what we do is we prepare, we do some data analysis of your companies, we get you out there talking to humans and guide you through survey and preparation and analysis. Then we take those 2 key steps of steps 2 and 3 and blend to get them together, because that's really where you find those insights. That's sort of like that Venn diagram we talked about in the beginning, that overlap between what you're offering and what people are doing. And then at the end, we create a marketing action plan that really unlocks growth for you. So let's see. And I'm going to just pop a link to this program in the chat there. You can check it out more here, and I'll just take you through what you get. This is really chock full of awesome content that I'm really excited about. So it's a pre-work questionnaire, kind of define your business challenge, because this is not, I actually went to business school with Jeff, who's on today, which is great. It's been great to reconnect with him, but this is not an MBA study. Like, this is not for fun or for school or to learn. This is real life. This is your real business. Chances are you have maybe a launch coming up, you're navigating the pandemic, you want to make sure you nail your next campaign. So we'll work together to really define what that challenge is, what goal you're trying to reach right now, today, and you want to get there in the next month or 2. Then we do 4 60-minute video calls for each of those phases 2 through 5. We do a business assessment and report to review what you're selling, your Google Analytics, and all of your metrics. We do survey training and question writing. We design a survey to draw out those insights and the new ideas from your customers. And then we identify those actionable business steps. We train you on how to do Martha says, thank you, Martha. You guys are funny. Yes, I do know a lot about marketing. I'm glad you like the page. We do an insights report summarizing what we learn. And then my favorite part is we translate that all into an action plan to get those insights and tactics together and allow you to reach your goals. This program also comes with 30 days of post-program support. A lot of times people kind of ask like, okay, now I did this whole thing and I feel like I'm worried I'm gonna be all on my own and not know how to get it, to the next step. So me and my team are there for you for 30 days afterwards as well. The idea here is really to go from that marketing strategy based on guesses to facts, going from being overwhelmed and feeling frustrated because you feel like you need to serve the entire world. I mean, who doesn't feel like that sometimes? To really only needing to serve the right people. You go from feeling like, oh, I'm doing okay, but then you're, at the end of this, you feel energized because you're reaching your potential and you're really exceeding your goals. And that momentum that builds when you're talking to the right people is just so powerful. I mean, that's the thing that took the meal planning app I was talking about to double their sales. It just is incredible how this can build. You go from feeling, kind of exhausted because you're just putting all of that effort and tons of hours into things that fall flat, and then you are at the end feeling focused and productive. So, you can just stop wondering what might have happened if you got in touch with your customers. A few of you have said today, this is something you always meant to do, but you kind of haven't gotten around to doing it. Now you'll know what the potential is. And so I'm inviting you guys to book a discovery call with me about just your business. So there's a free call. What I've heard from a lot of people in talking about this program is a desire to make sure that it's really going to be the right fit for them and their business and where they are right now. So I think it's really important to have that individualized conversation. If you are like, I'm already spending an hour with you, Becca, I don't want to talk anymore, I want to do this right now, you can skip the call and go right to signing up, which I've just pasted the link. Totally up to you. I'd love to talk more with any of you guys about it. So it's really for people who are entrepreneur, oops, I have a typo there, sorry, or a marketing leader that's ready for a method that's proven, it's going to propel your results and grow your business. You want some quick adjustment to the current crisis. You hate that feeling like you're selling and you're feeling salesy, and you want your customer interactions to come from that place of service and empathy and value. It's really best if you've been operating for about 12 months and have some annual sales, kind of above that 50K threshold under your belt. Carrie, your question before was making me think of this piece. When you're brand new and you haven't launched your business yet, I think that the process of what we were talking about for Carrie, which is going through your hypothesis of who your customers might be, is perfect. And I would recommend that step for you. And this can really work well for product and service businesses. I've taken both types of clients through this product, and it works great. So, oops. So you might want to be wondering, what the heck is this going to cost? So typically, to hire me to design a custom research and strategy program for larger companies costs between $15,000 and $50,000. And that is a lot of cheddar, speaking from the place in the world where cheddar is made in Vermont. It's a huge investment. And this is the thing I see that keeps so many companies from even getting into this at all. It feels just out of reach. And like, I can't do this because I'm not a Fortune 500, so just forget about it. So what I'm bringing it to you, I've launched this product for $4,444 for the 6-week program, which is just a crazy accessible way to get it into your hands. And then for you guys on this webinar, you have the opportunity to join for half price. It says join today. Join today for sure. That would be great. But you have until Tuesday of next week. You can kind of think about it over the Memorial Day weekend, or schedule that follow-up chat with me. Oh, Lauren has just signed up for a call. That's awesome. I'm so excited to talk about your business, Lauren. Thank you. Can't wait to dive into that. So this is a crazy great deal. I'm doing this at this price for right now. This is a relatively new program, and we'll kind of be learning alongside each other. I have been taking several clients through it. Oh, thank you, Martha. I'll fix that date. Tuesday is the 26th, not the 24th. Thank you. I promise I'm very good at math and Excel. Sometimes I just mix up my dates. So yeah, I'm really excited about this price. It's never going to be this much again. And I'm already seeing the clients that are in this pay for it by the time they're done. And that is, so Marina is a great example. She says it was extremely worth the financial investment. I like to talk about the ROI. Of course, I'm a businesswoman. I want to make sure that what I'm investing is going to work, and do the same for my clients. So every time I start a client engagement, it's my goal to pay for myself with the kind of gold nuggets that we uncover, and then some by the end of the project. And that's definitely been happening for the clients that have been enrolled in this so far, which is really exciting to see. So I'd love for you guys to be one of those clients. This is a little summary of what you get. And in terms of what the next steps are, you head to the link. Martha said she already clicked the link. Go to my beautiful landing page. There are several buttons to learn more details about the program and book a call. Let me get this link back there in the chat for you. I'll also email this to you as a follow-up. Then we'll have our call. We'll talk about your business. I have 5 spots available for this right now. So if you are interested in kind of maybe like go ahead and book that call, and we can figure it out for you because you don't want the spots to fill up. Then once you're ready, you head to the enrollment page. We have a pay in full option and a payment plan to help you guys space these payments out. And then we get going and dive in and schedule the sessions, get to know everything about your business and the challenges you have going on. So, you know, if you're sick of the trial and error and getting stuck in your internet rabbit holes, trying to figure out how to write a survey, you want to do it quickly, you want to do it more better, because you can take advantage of me and my experience and this proven system that I've developed with my team, this is going to be a great fit. I want to do a quick final case study about just to sort of the power of collaboration and how it can take people through to the next level in your business. And this is me, the case study is me. So I have been really wanting to start hosting webinars as an example for ages. But, you know, I kept putting it off. Like, it's one of those things where life is going along, work is going along, everything seems fine. You know, there's this thing out there that you want to do, you know, you want to engage with more people and do your job better. I was really nervous about it, so I just put it off. And what I did was found a partner to help. We did a brainstorm. You know, this is a few months ago. This is, you know, I think I've hosted probably 5 of these webinars by now, and we're off and running. She did this brainstorm for me. She did a gorgeous deck. And the thing is, when you invest in yourself and your company, it's not just like, you know, you get a system, but you also are making commitment to yourself and you get an accountability buddy. And so I wasn't going to work with this woman and then just like not ever do a webinar, because she spent her time and her mental effort to help me. So that really helped me get past this. And I've seen this same thing happen for my clients. So that's just a little bit of a personal note on the power of collaboration. Oh, Perry, I'm so excited to talk to you. I have been stalking you on your, Perry says she just booked a call. I've been stalking your Instagram and I am obsessed with stationery. So we'll have a lot to talk about. So I'm really excited to see some of you guys there. Again, the link is here. And now I'm gonna just stop for some live Q&A. I know it's almost 1 o'clock. Oh, Molly Chen connection, that's great. Yeah, Molly is the best. Let's see, I'll stop sharing. We have another, okay, I think I answered the question in the Q&A. And I'd love to just kind of hear any questions that this discussion brought up for you. Jeff's gonna book a call too, that's great. I'm so excited. So tell me what questions you have. What are you thinking? Are you feeling like, oh, I'm going to go do, you know, I think the Megan example of the vintage shop is so awesome because you really see how, you know, you can put a question out there on Instagram, give feedback, and kind of adjust really quickly, which I love seeing. Does anyone else have any other questions that they were grappling with? Carrie, I'm curious about you. Did we help you kind of get oriented to what your next steps are going to be for your business? I know when you're really just starting out and making that pivot, it can be very overwhelming. Oh, good. Great. Yes, okay. Let's see, Perry says, I'm looking at old survey data that I feel like I'd forgotten about. Sometimes the data is overwhelming. Yes, you know, I hear so many questions about data. On the last webinar we did, somebody who said, is my data good enough? And she was worried that, you know, because she didn't have a system for collecting data that felt really kind of advanced and clean, that she, you know, if she used that data to make a decision, it might be the wrong decision. And so this is an important issue to think about. What I like to say, you know, if you're a smaller business, we're not going to be dealing with answers in the sort of the tens of thousands that are always going to be statistically significant to the nth degree. But what the process that I encourage people to go through is to really take a step. You know, it's not like we're going to invest 50 grand in a campaign based on one little survey. We're going to learn what we can, then we're going to iterate. And we get out there And we use the data that we do have, like Perry was saying, we use it as a baseline, and then we learn a little bit more and we identify something more and we try it out. And so it becomes an iterative process. And also when you think about that, it becomes less intense and less overwhelming. So that's the approach that I usually like to give people. And in terms of making data feel less overwhelming, there's a million tools we can use, pivot tables, or, just kind of chunking the information up into, info about the customer, info about the industry, info about your product, and taking it one step at a time. And that's great. Carrie thinks this is an great iterative process and should be done annually for her, given her target audience. I agree. It's great to do this work definitely once a year. I recommend that as like a base. And I love to see people doing it once a quarter even. And I think that's enough. This is not something you need to do every week. You do get kind of down in the weeds, and then it always leads to big ideas. So like, we don't all need to be doing like our giant big picture thinking every single day, right? We need to like get out there and execute and sell some stuff and like, print the materials that we're using and update our website and all the little stuff. So if you can get yourself kind of out of that and do the big picture thinking about once a quarter, that's going to be enough to really drive some success. All right. Well, I want to end us on time and be really respectful of your time. So I'm going to wrap us up unless anyone has any final burning questions. Thank you, Perry. This has been a really great session, and I really have enjoyed learning about you all and your business. And I'm excited to talk to you guys some more. So I'll be sharing the replay via email, and please feel free to reach out anytime with questions or to book a call. And like I said, the discovery calls are always free, so take advantage of that resource. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll keep in touch. Have a great day.